Hey guys, it's Drac, and it is no secret that aside from a couple of vintage blasters like the Lock and Load and the Crossbow, the Nerf Maverick is like one of my favorite blasters of all time. It was my first Nerf blaster. I think that they're great. I think that they're a great blaster for anybody to own at first. I think that they're a great blaster for anybody's first mod. I think that they have a really complicated and yet at the same time very simple and easy to understand mechanism, and that's what makes them so special. That's what makes them the best-selling Nerf blaster of all time. And that's why I'm so excited about my present from EOC for the holidays, which is this. It is the Nerf Elite Strongarm, and I immediately noticed some serious analogs between the Nerf Maverick and the Strongarm, and I am super excited about this blaster. It's just so much better in so many ways than the Maverick that, like, there's no real reason. It makes me a little sad because the Maverick is now almost entirely obsolete. But it's great because the price point is so right. I think that the Strongarm is retailing right around 10 to 12 bucks most places, which means that it's no more expensive than the Maverick, and sometimes only a little bit more. So on the back we see that it's advertising that it is a rotating barrel or a cylinder. It's got elite features like fires up to 75 feet, and I don't know if it'll get quite that far. It has slam fire built in, which is very new for pistols, and I think super duper cool. I don't consider the Retaliator a pistol, so I think this is like the first slam fire pistol to me. It's got a tactical rail which is located in the proper place, whereas the Maverick's tack rail, I just altered my frame a little bit. Maverick's tack rail was on the slide, which meant that it was almost useless because there was nobody who ever wanted to put an attachment on and then prime the blaster like that. So the tactical rail on the Strongarm is somewhere that you can actually make use of it, and then the profile for the Strongarm is just really, really neat. The slide mechanism is just as large and comfortable, and the way that the blaster is rotating is much different. Both blasters are built similarly. They have their drop on this side and a single trigger action. Now, whereas the Maverick rotates on the trigger pull, the Strongarm actually only rotates when you fire, and fires and then rotates on the trigger return after you fired. So it works sort of like this. I pull the trigger and then it comes back. And I think that that has to do with the slam fire, but it's really good for the blaster in general because it means that the blaster always has a perfect seal when it's coming from its plunger tube to its turret. You can see that they've built in a foam pad, and the air restrictor is actually built into the plunger tube. It's not a part of the cylinder, which is great because it means that the cylinder has no air restrictor. You can see there, it's just a straight shot through. It also means that the cylinder is effectively way smaller on the Strongarm than it is on the Maverick, because on the Maverick you have a full-size barrel along with your built-in air restrictors, and the Strongarm doesn't suffer from that problem. So I actually have some of the old-style Elite darts that Nerf sent me a while back, and I'm going to load it with that first, and then I'll take the darts out of the Strongarm package itself, and I want to fire off one cylinder, and then I'll fire off another one with slam fire. But this blaster is just super exciting. It's also worth mentioning that this comes with the full barrel drop done entirely. Again, when the Maverick first came out, it drops out like very small. It's really only exposing 2 barrels at a time effectively, whereas the Strongarm is doing a full barrel drop that exposes 4 very easily. And I think that that's really, really cool. I think that since it's not even a performance mod or a safety issue, that it's really great that Hasbro picked up on the fact that the Nerf community wanted its cylinder to drop and be free rotating. And I think that that's really, really sweet that you no longer have to modify the blaster at all to fix that. It's also of note that the Maverick has no way of telling if it's primed or not, at least when it's, you can obviously check and see if this has been pulled back, but once it's been primed there's no way of telling, whereas the Strongarm has a built-in priming indicator. It's back here, there's a tiny orange dot when it's not primed, and once you've primed it, it becomes an orange bar that goes all the way across. I think that that's really, really cool. Both blasters have a way to attach them at their priming mechanism, but only the Strongarm has another clip here. So again, this is really easy to put on your bandolier and sling, or you could holster it because it's got a thinner profile, I think by just about a millimeter or so, maybe a centimeter, than the Maverick. So it's almost like a Spectre, except the performance is way, way better. I'm super happy with how this blaster performs. The accuracy is dead on, and the slam fire is really, really cool. It's just worth mentioning that whereas when you modify a Maverick, sometimes you don't get a great turret to plunger seal, you would always have a great one with this, assuming that the internals aren't too complicated, because of the way that this works. And I can't show it on camera, or I can try, it's really difficult. There actually is no seal between the two, which is how we get this really comfortable priming and rotating of the cylinder. And the seal occurs once you've primed it. When you pull the trigger on that first bit of the trigger pull, the plunger slams forward to make the seal with the cylinder, and then it releases the plunger fire. So it works like that, and it almost kind of like dots out, and you barely notice that it happens. I can do it again and see if you notice, and then I can try doing it. Blaster won't prime with the cylinder out. That's very strange. So there's some safety mechanisms that we're going to have to remove, because I like all of my blasters to work how I want them to. It actually won't depress the cylinder now that it's primed. That's worth mentioning, that the Maverick or the Strongarm has been made much safer. The paint job is the traditional Elite. It's pretty sweet. I like the white running lines on the blue. I have plans for a cosmetic mod for this blaster, and we'll get to those eventually. Obviously, I'm going to do a mod guide down here first, and then we'll go into the cosmetics after that. So I'm going to come in, take out the new style Elite darts. Try not to destroy them in the process. And that's pretty cool. It's still very easy to load through the front barrel, unlike the Spectre, which was pretty tricky. This is almost like a Spectre Maverick hybrid, except it's the best of both worlds. It still has all 6 shots and way better performance than either blaster, and the aesthetics of the Spectre, the profile I think is really, really cool. So I'm going to slam fire the blaster off and see how accurate I can keep my grouping, and I'll let you know. And the grouping is pretty reasonable. All of those shots, my wall is about 40 feet away, and the shots are all within about like 6 or 7 feet of one another in a nice tight circle, so I think that that's really, really cool. The blaster, because of its built-in air restrictors, is going to have, not air restrictor, but it does have dart posts, which are designed for Elite darts. Obviously, after we Dremel those out, it'll be really easy to get it to take whiteout darts, but now you can see that like regular streamlines and whiteout darts will not work. So it's a shame that that's not the case, but check out the mod guide below. It should be up pretty soon, and I think that the Strongarm has the potential to be my favorite Elite blaster, just because the Maverick is so near and dear to my heart. But thanks a bunch for watching. That is the Nerf Elite Strongarm, and I'll catch you guys later.